What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as J.R.R, and thank you for joining me for another third Age Reforged replay battle. This one is actually a tournament battle, and not one that you will be able to find on the streams that I previously linked, because I do not think that it was recorded. But I saved the replay, so you guys get a little bit of an exclusive sneak peek, I suppose, into the first tournament battle that Archangel and I played together. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army compositions, and then we'll jump right into this very exciting battle, because there's a lot of back and forth, and you guys are going to like it. I've got 2 units of Orc Marauders. This is my army, the Orcs of Gundabad, 2 units of Orc Marauders, 2 units of the Numenorian Shield Guard. If you guys have watched some of our previous replay battles, you have seen that these guys are medium archers that can really hold their own. They also have the ability to hide anywhere, so you can be a little bit sneaky with them. I've got 2 units of Gundabad Guard. These are heavy spears, very good against cavalry, and also pretty good against infantry. They will hold for a long time. I've also got 2 units of Rudar Berserkers here hiding in the forest. These are anti-infantry, anti-armor, 2 HP infantrymen. I've also got, that's my ally, I've also got 2 units of the Witch Realm Hammer Guard hiding in the back here, and last but not least, I have 2 units of Wargs who are hiding. You kind of can't really tell. They are standing out in the open a little bit, but I guess there's some light scrub here that allows these guys to hide, so my enemies cannot see them at all right now. I've also got a unit of Snow Trolls. These guys are a little bit cheaper than the Gundabad Trolls, but they are quite comparable in strength, so it's a nice little bargain deal, essentially, if you want to get some Trolls on the cheap that are still pretty powerful. I've also got a Ballista hiding somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so there's the Ballista. Let's take a look at the army of my ally, Archangel, who's playing these Sylvan Elves. He has 1 unit of Elder Royal Council, 2 units of the Elder Royal Guard, these very excellent heavy archers. He's also got 1 unit of Sylvan heavy archers, so he's brought pretty much the max archers. He's also got 3 units of Hiri Lang, very powerful shock troops, very good in melee and against heavy infantry. He's also got some Sylvan Elf heavy swordsmen, who are kind of like a bit of a bargain bin version of these guys. They're cheaper. They have, I think, less defense, but they do have a nicer charge attack. He's got 1 unit, I believe, of the Sindar Blade Masters, possibly 2. He's also got a unit of the Elder Palace Guard. Very deadly. I love the Elder Palace Guard. So let's take a look at the armies of our opponents here. And the first one is the Forces of Mordor, who's being commanded by Black Smaug. He's got a unit of Sauron's Will hiding out here. He's also got 2 units of Uruk Halberds, 3 units of Orc Maulers, 1 unit, I believe, of the... Ooh, there they are, the Orc Raiders. These are kind of like a scouting throwaway force. I think that's what they're planning on using because there is a lot of trees on this map, and they are familiar with it. So I think this is kind of a scouting force. He's also got a unit of Olokai hiding out in the back here, and 1 unit of Melkor's Chosen. These guys are heavy cavalry, anti-cavalry, so they are very good, very deadly. So you wanna watch them if you ever come up against them. I think he's also got a unit of Moradon Guard hiding somewhere in there. Ballista, though, I think I mentioned that already. And he's also got a couple units of Numenorians hiding in here somewhere. They are hidden. Like I said, they're very sneaky archers. The other player, this is being commanded by Peacekeeper, who's playing the Rune faction. He's got 2 units of Variag Bowmen, and I really like these units. They do have shields, and they've got pretty decent armor, as you can see. So it is possible for them to kind of hold their own against even the elite Sylvan heavy archers. So this is a very good pick, I think, for any army. He's also got 2 units of the Locanar Rim. I think one of them is back here. These guys are good. They have decent range, decent attack, but they are very vulnerable to counter missile fire because they do not have any shields. So yeah, they're very deadly, but they're also very fragile. He's also got 4 units, a whopping 4 units of the Loke Flag Rim. Heavily armored infantry. They have axes and maces, so they have armor piercing as well. He's got 2 units of these nomadic warriors. These are kind of like the equivalent of Orc Raiders, just a little bit better, I think. And their morale, I think, is better as well. He's got, I believe, 2 units of the Loke Scion Rim. These are 2 HP spearmen. Very good at holding a line. And he's also got 1 unit of the Variag Raiders. Some very pesky missile cav. And I think he's got a unit of Brotherhood of the Lance who are hiding around in here somewhere. I'm not really able to see them right now. But he does have 1 unit of heavy cavalry. So that's pretty much the entirety of their force. Oh, right, and the Rune player does have a catapult. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. So let's go ahead and let's start the battle. So our strategy is to pull them into here. As you can see, I've got a lot of hidden units. So what I'm trying to do is kind of project strength here. Let them pepper our troops for a bit. So I've got my weakest troops in the front, there to take that damage. My Gundabad Guard hiding out of sight of any archers or artillery fire that could come in. And also some troops in here behind them, well clear of them, so any archer fire that flies over the tops of these guys is probably not going to hit my Guardians of Karn Doom or my Gundabad Guard. Looks like I'm starting to move some of my Numenorian Shadow Guard forward to try and support these guys. Yeah, I think we're going to move them into the front. We want to draw them in here because as you saw earlier when we were going over army compositions, I do have a lot of hidden units. I've got about 6 different hidden units. I've got 2 Witch Realm Hammer Guard, 2 Berserkers, and a couple units of Cav hiding in the back here. So what we're going to do is we're going to skirmish with them, let them pepper us a little bit, make it seem like we're afraid of their archer superiority, because they do have many, many archers over us right now. They've got, like, I think, probably twice as many archers as we do. So we are going to start to fall back into here, and our plan is to make a stand on this ridge, get them to commit, and then smash them in the side with a lot of our heavy cavalry and our heavy infantry. Some of our best infantry is hiding in this forest. But the Rune player, expecting a bit of an ambush because there is a lot of trees here, sending forward a scouting force. These are his Variag Raiders. And they're going to move into here and try and figure out exactly what we've got hiding for them. So I don't want them to find the infantry. So at some point we will deploy our wargs against them, just to make it look like they were right and now they found out the ambush that we had prepared for them, and maybe we can get them to commit. So we're just kind of going to progressively show our hand, but not show it all at once. Now let's speed up just a little bit here. See these Variag Riders getting a little bit close, waiting for them. I want to draw them in. Want to make sure that they won't be able to escape. So yeah, I'm going to try and spring my trap now. I've got one unit of wargs rushing for their flank, another unit coming straight up here trying to cut off their retreat. We want to sandwich them. If we can catch them in between two warg units, this unit will get destroyed very, very fast. But I underestimated the speed of these Variag Raiders. They are very swift missile cavalry, so they are going to be able to kind of kite our wargs a little bit here. So my ambush not really working out the way I had intended it to, but we do get a little bit lucky, as you'll see. Peacekeeper loses some micro on his troops. I think he's trying to move his troops into the pass over there. So we are going to get a flank charge. We're going to clip off about a third of this unit. Yeah, they're stuck in combat now with wargs, not what they want. Taking a lot of casualties really quickly. They're starting to be shaken. Look at that. That's probably about a third of the unit easily right there. But they do manage to escape the tender mercies of our warg riders, and not wanting to take any more damage from their arrow fire, we are going to start to pull back. This unit really can't move in here on its own. There's a lot of places for my wargs to hide and to reset up an ambush, so the Rune player is going to pull them back, but it looks like he wants a little bit more. But my ally, Archangel, sees what's going on, so he's going to start to deploy some of his troops up onto this ridge, because he sees at the same time, yeah, you can see some of his troops here, but at the same time, through this pass, Rune is sending a bit of a scouting force. We've got a number of units. We've got some Loki Scion Rim, both units of them, in fact. Two of his pneumatic warriors. This is a big commitment on his part, and a couple units of Loki Flag Rim, and a large contingent of his archers. He may even have 3 units of the Lokinar Rim. I think that might just be 2 units, really spread out here, though. Let's go take a look at the pass over here. Yeah, the Mortar player moving into position, moving up some of his Numenorian Shadow Guard. And at the same time, the Rune player has brought in a lot of his archers, so I am outnumbered in archers, and they're going to be able to deal a lot of damage to our troops. But they took their forces out of loose formation, which I think is going to prove to be a mistake. I don't think he can see my Numenorian Shadow Guard. I did move them up early in the battle, so he might not have seen them. At the same time, the Sylvan Elf player has some Elder Royal Council here, and this is a juicy target. If all these archers gang up on them, they will be able to destroy them. This is a very powerful archer unit. So this is some nice bait for Archangel to hold forward to draw our enemies into this pass and into our trap. Let's speed up just a little bit here. Let's go take a look over on this side. It looks like a little bit of action. Their cavalry getting caught out again by my warg riders. We're going to manage to just slowly gnaw away at this unit. I think we took out another third of it. A lot of these troops, yeah, taking heavy casualties to my warg riders. We're going to pursue them quite a ways, but yeah, we don't want to follow them too far. Not into this enemy army, and not into the range of all of these Lokinar Rim who are lying in wait. That would have been a really big mistake. So we do pull our wargs back, manage to conserve the unit, and at the same time they've lost pretty much most of their Variag Raiders, who are firing back a few spiteful shots into our warg riders, trying to deal a little bit of damage to them in revenge. But yeah, my weak troops here in loose formation want to kind of soak up some arrows and make it look like we're afraid of them. So I'm not too worried about taking some casualties in these 2 unicorns, because they're not terribly useful. They do have armor piercing, so they're kind of okay, but their morale's not amazing, and their stats aren't great. So it's okay to lose some of those troops, I think. Archangel has now fortified this position against any further Rune incursions. I've still got a unit of works here. Looks like these cataphracts, or these raiders, came back. They want another fight, and I think the Runic player is going to see it. And I'm not going to chase too far with my warg riders. They're going to get a couple shots off, but not too many. Not really able to shoot around this corner, thankfully. Rune player not too sure what to do at this point because we have kind of found out what they're doing. So it looks like he's pulled off a lot of his forces. Yeah, you can see his Loki Scion Rim, one of his Loki Flag Rim, and his Nomadic Warriors moving over this direction. They are winded and some of them are tired at this point, but it looks like they're going to try and concentrate a lot of their forces into this area where it seems like we are weakest, which is honestly, this is what we want them to do, but they have so many forces that I think if they attack now, even my ambush troops wouldn't be able to stop them. They might be able to fight their way out of it. But take a look over here across the river. You can see me moving my ballista into position. Want to try and take some shots at these archers here. We are going to get some nice flanking fire into these archer companies. We're starting to whittle them down a little bit. As you can see, my my Numenorian Shadow Guard in loose formation in this. It's almost a spaghetti line. It's a little bit thicker than I would have liked it to be. But we are dealing a lot of damage to these bunched up Black Numenorians in return. Look at this unit right here. They've taken a lot of casualties, down almost 25 units. These Variag Bowmen pushing forward. We're going to try and ignore them because I am a little bit more concerned about these guys, and they are a juicier target since they're not in loose formation. But you can see Archangel moving some of his Elder Royal Council into a flanking position. We're really supporting each other nicely here, I think. And at the same time, moving up my ballista to try and shoot at some of these Variag archers. But they've committed a lot of forces over here. There you go. You can see his Brotherhood of the Lance. They've got Cav. They've got heavy infantry. A lot of archers. A lot of heavy infantry as well. Looks like 2 units of Sauron's Will, in fact, along with some regular old Uruks. So there's a lot more to Mordor's force than initially met the eye. A lot of them are hiding over here in the forest. But they pulled them out pretty early, so we were able to figure out kind of more or less the strength of our opponents. But my Numenorian Shadow Guard over here, going to start to take a lot of casualties. Look at this. We're starting to drop massed archer fire. We can't stand up to this for too long. So these units are going to start to take a lot of casualties from just this huge line of blocked up bowmen. But their formations, I think, are going to start to play against them. These 2 units here in loose formation, but this one still not, taking a lot of damage. And now Archangel's Elder Royal Council into the fray, able to put some pressure over here onto these archer forces across the way. I think they are targeting these Variag bowmen, and at the same time, I'm going to start targeting them with my ballista. You can see it beginning to fire right there. But the Rune player brought up his catapult and trying to fire into these Elder Royal Council. That would be pretty devastating for them if he managed to get some good hits. But artillery is really hit or miss in this game. It's more reliable to bring ballistas. Catapults can really turn the tide of an engagement, but they have to hit. So sometimes you'll get your hits, and sometimes you won't, and it'll really just depend on how lucky you get. So we can see more archers being poured into this gap here. They really want to try and whittle us down, and they're doing a great job of it. Down to 55 in that unit, almost half the unit destroyed. Over here, doing a little bit better. I think they have a little bit of cover from the trees, whereas these guys are a lot more open. We've managed to pretty much destroy this unit of Variag Bowmen, and it seems at the moment that they are almost completely ignoring the Elder Royal Council over here. Oh, never mind. These Numenorian Shadow Guard firing into them, but the Elder Royal Council has a nice shot at these guys. They are all in close formation, and this is a flank shot. So they're taking fire, I think, from 2 angles at this point. So this Numenorian Shadow Guard unit is going to suffer really heavily. Yeah, and at the same time, these Variag Bowmen being quite heavily reduced down to, I think, less than half the unit. Wasting... Oh, yeah, managed to get a couple kills there off on my Numenorian Shadow Guard. But for the large part, trying to target a very thin formation like this with your catapult is just going to waste a lot of your ammunition. That's, I think, could be better served elsewhere. Let's go take a look over here. It looks like there's a little bit of action. The Rune player has come into this pass. He's got his Loki Flag Rim defending his archers, and he's got Loknar Rim and the remains of his Variag Radar unit in to back him up. But the elves are in a really good position here. They're going to push their advantage. They have a lot more infantry than Rune has brought into this area, so they're going to knock down this wall of Loki Flag Rim, and at the same time, you can see a deadly firing line of heavy elven archers able to put some serious pressure on this bunched up unit of Loknar Rim. They're funneled into this pass. They're not really able to form an effective formation to help them avoid that incoming arrow fire. So you can see them taking so many casualties, just so much destruction in amongst this unit right here. Yeah, down to less than half strength at this point. It looks like Rune is going to double down, bringing out some Nomadic Warriors to try and help push back these 2 units of Hiri Lang. But honestly, I don't think that that's going to be a good fight for them. Look at this, the Loki Flag Rim really taking a lot of damage from these Hiri Lang, who I don't think have lost any troops at this point. No, they haven't. Oh, there you go. 1 has died, whereas most of this unit of Loki Flag Rim has fallen as well. But let's take a look over here. Looks like they might be trying to commit. You can see the Ballista of Mordor, Black Smaug, bring his artillery piece forward. And the catapult of Peacekeeper still trying to pummel the archers over here. I think they've taken a fair No, actually, I don't think those Elder Royal Council took any damage whatsoever. They're trying to focus down my artillery piece. I am trying to shoot at that catapult, trying to silence it, but I am having some weird issues. It seems like the catapult should be in range, but I'm not able to actually open fire on it. So seeing that my catapult, or my artillery piece here, is in a lot of trouble, I'm going to start to try and pull it back, because I don't want to lose it. I do still think that there's a use for it, especially if we can get our enemies to funnel into here. I can put it right here alongside some archers, and really deal a lot of damage to the rear of the enemy forces as they try to attack our troops. But my Numenorian Shadow Guard have just suffered grievously. Most of the unit is dead at this point, going down to the massed fire of the allied archers. But we have dealt a pretty decent amount of damage in return. About a fifth of these Loci Nar Rim are gone. This unit of Variags almost completely annihilated, along with this unit of Shadow Guard, who have been heavily reduced, I think, to about 50% fighting strength. Yeah, so they are starting to push us back with the archers, so I'm going to begin to fall back my Numenorians. We want to make it look, again, like we're afraid of them. We want them to funnel into this pass, because that would be, I think, to our advantage. Let's go take a quick look over here at how things are going in this pass. Ooh, a little bit of camera nonsense there. Looks like these nomadic warriors have charged into battle to try and support the Loki Flag Rim, but I think that it is a doomed engagement. These Hiri Lang just cutting these guys up, slaughtering these runic infantry. These Loknar Rim down to a meager 10 missiles at this point, still taking incoming fire from the Elven archers. This is like a really difficult position for them to be in, especially with the elves up there on that hill. They get a range bonus, and I believe they get an accuracy bonus because they are able to fire right over the heads of their front line. Yeah, some Sylvan heavy swords. This is not a fight that Rune is going to win. So Rune is actually going to lose another 3 units right here. So we're slowly kind of picking apart the runic army. They've lost some archers and they've lost some heavy infantry at this point. Let's go take a look over here. Yeah, Mordor and Rune bringing a lot of their troops forward. You can see the catapult. I think this is a bit of a miss micro. They may be trying to continuously put pressure on my retreating ballista. So this catapult from the Rune player is going to push forward a little bit farther, I think, than it should, getting itself a little bit exposed. But they don't know. They suspect, I think, but they don't know what we have waiting in the woods for them. And you can see another unit of Warg Riders hiding over there. I think my other unit is up there supporting my ally. Yeah, they're really interested in taking out this ballista piece. I think it's kind of a requisite for them being able to charge into here. So if they don't get this piece, they might decide to abandon the assault and retreat somewhere else, perhaps into the woods, to set up an ambush of their own. Let's take one other look over here. I think the Sylvan Elves have finally broken through. It looks like they have routed what remains of the runic infantry. These Hiri Lang pursuing them all the way across. I don't think that the runic player was really prepared for this. I don't see a lot of forces over here. It looks like these guys were pulled off of this front, so my ally Archangel doing a really good job at preventing them from pooling their forces in one area, because Rune now can't afford to leave this pass open, because if they attack us and the Sylvan Elves manage to get into the rear, it could go really badly for the Mordor forces. So we could potentially see a big ambush here, sandwiching the 2 armies in this small pass, which honestly would be, I think, the best case scenario for our 2 armies. You can see, looks like they're starting to commit. Rune putting a lot of his remaining heavy infantry into the battle. Mordor bringing up some of his Chiefer troops. Got some Maulers in the back there, some Orc Raiders in the front, but they are kind of inside of this unit. So if there's any incoming archer fire, these guys would take a lot of damage, but I don't think I have any archers at this point. Yeah, not on that side of the river. I do have these guys falling back into position. They are now hiding, because obviously our plan is to bring them in here. So if we can put some arrow fire and some artillery fire into the backs of these troops, we could potentially wipe out quite a lot of runic warriors in a very short space of time. It looks like they're a little bit non-committal at this point. They're not too sure if they want to push into here or not. I think they might be suspecting a trap. So it looks like these forces slowly pulling back. You can see the Numenorian Shadow Guard beginning to flee alongside the Variag Bowmen. I think what they're going to try and do is, because Archangel is pushing into this this pass here, and it doesn't seem like I have a lot of forces. It does seem like they have an advantage. So I think what they're going to try and do is bottle up Archangel and try and smash him in this pass. If they combine their forces together, I think that they'd be more than capable of doing that. But this retreat... Oop. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. This retreat is very hasty. You can see this catapult is now overextended, trying to get out of the way, trying to get back to the rest of these forces, who have now pulled ahead of it. So this is a big gap in their lines. So I do see this, and I'm going to start to move out my Warg Riders. You can see them beginning to sally forth here. we're going to try and overtake their retreat, and at the same time, because I think that they realize that there is an ambush in wait for them, we're going to start to pull out some of our hidden troops and begin to show them a little bit more of what we have prepared for them. But this is a good move by Black Smaug. He is leaving these Orc Raiders, a very cheap unit, in here as a rear guard, not wanting to suffer any surprises. It really seems at this point like they have kind of figured out what we're trying to do. So good job to the both of them, because yeah, that was a good conclusion to come to. Now these Orc Raiders, I think Black Smaug at this point might be convinced that there's no danger as we start to pull them back, but I think now he's begun to see our Warg Riders charging in here along with a large portion of my troops. Yeah, ignore that. That's just the commentators' units that they have over there on the side of the battle. They're just kind of having a little bit of fun. These Orc Raiders trying to form a shield for this catapult. It's a very valuable unit. You don't want to lose it to wargs. So I'm trying to scoot around there, thinking maybe I can pull through, but instead I'm going to opt to make a wide turn around this formation of orcs. But the Rune player not going to want to lose his catapult very easily. You can see him bringing in some forces. Got some Loke Flag Rim here, and I think he's also got a unit of his cavalry. Yes, these are his heavy cataphracts, his Brotherhood of the Lance. Be a very tough fight for the wargs, and my wargs don't have a lot of support right now in the form of infantry. So we've got these Orc Raiders right here. I can see him bringing in these forces, so I'm kind of debating whether or not I want to go for it with these Warg Riders. I decide, okay, maybe we're going to try and deal a little bit of casualties to these Orc Raiders, at least get something for our time, having run all the way across to the pass here. Yeah, try and get into the backs of these guys, deal some damage. We do get a pretty decent charge, but honestly, not too many, not really all that worth it. And you can see the Brotherhood of the Lance charging into battle here, desperately trying to pull my forces out, and at the same time he turns his Orc Raiders around to try and tie these guys up. Really good move on the part of the Rude and Mordor player. Really nice coordination. So they do manage to get into the back of my Warg Riders. You can see them beginning to drop, losing a lot of wargs here. This is not how I want to lose. This is a really ineffective attack, and I think a big mistake on my part. So I do manage to scoot away with 20 of the unit, 19, never mind, but I make a mistake again, throwing them back into the cavalry here, hoping maybe I could catch them in unawares. But they turn around, reform, and charge into my wargs, and they're going to do a lot of damage to these guys. The reason I did this is because I was bringing up some of my heavy infantry and hoping that I'd be able to tie these guys down long enough for them to get into battle. But honestly, they were too far away, so that is a bit of an oops on my part, and most of this warg unit is going to pay for my foolishness. You see them down to 6 here. These 6 wargs managing to get away, almost breaking, but not quite. So these Brotherhood of the Lance very pleased with themselves at this point, having wiped out a lot of wargs and not taking any casualties in return. So this is a small victory for the runic player. My ambush not working out quite the way I wanted it to, but I'm bringing up the rest of my infantry. And you can see these units not being microed, not falling back, so we are going to be able to catch them. We're going to be able to catch this rear guard here of a few hundred men and do a lot of damage to them. But it looks like the runic player is kind of okay with that. I think this is maybe deliberate on his part. He's willing to make a stand. He's got cavalry superiority in the area now. I think he's thinking that if he can get some hammer and anvil charges into these troops, he's going to be able to wipe out a huge part of my army in return for the losses that he has suffered to Archangel and I's repeated aggressive attacks. So yeah, he's going to stick around. He's got his Brotherhood of the Lance. He's bringing back his catapult. He's willing to make it a stand in this narrow area. He's got a lot of troops he's willing to commit. So this is more or less what we want. This is a bit of a mistake on my part. I was in a hurry, so I wanted to get them into these Loke Flag Rim. But what I should have done is spread them out. This is a very wide formation, so they're going to be able to surround these units. But yeah, I've got enough troops that I'm able to occupy pretty much most of this line, so they're not going to be able to do a ton of damage. So he's bringing in, like I said, he's going to bring in his Brotherhood of the Lance for a hammered anvil. I've got my unit of 6 wargs going for his catapult. I think he's less concerned about the catapult and more concerned about hurting some of these units. Looks like he's not going to opt for it after all, but I'm going to start pulling these Orc Marauders back because I got my Gundabad spears in the area. So I'm going to occupy these guys with them, and I'm going to try and cut off his retreat with this unit of Gundabad Guard. And at the same time, I'm bringing up my wargs, so we're trying to surround and bring down this unit. Oh, a nice hit from his catapult. Getting some of my Orc Marauders. It was a good hit, but I'm not too concerned about this unit because it's just kind of a throwaway unit. So my spearmen really seeing these guys off, charging them. I've got my wargs at the same time, running into the rear of these troops. So I think, yeah, we have a nice long formation. We're going to be able to envelop them, but I don't think that's a fight he wants. But we are a little bit faster, so we are going to be able to get into the backs of these. They're a little bit tired. They are warmed up. We're going to get a nice charge into these Brotherhood of the Lance, and it's going to be a pretty tough fight for us. Balance forces evenly matched. They're going to start to try and pull out, though. So we are going to be able to eat some of them in the retreat. Because you can see my spearmen bringing up the rear, coming in to support my cavalry. But these Loke Flag Rim doing not bad. They're actually starting to crush this unit of Berserkers. This one on the other side here managing to roll up their flank. And then we're going to throw some Orc Marauders into the backs of them. At the same time, we're keeping the rest of our army safe with our Spearmen and our Warg Riders. Bit of a miss micro here, I think, on the part of the Rune player. He was trying to run his troops away, but he ended up just walking them. So we do manage to get a nice rear charge, take down a lot of his Cataphracts with our Warg Riders, paying a fairly heavy toll in return. But he does turn around and charge back into us. But my Warg Riders are not alone, being supported by these Gundabad Guard. So that's going to go really poorly for the Brotherhood of the Lance. But they do manage to deal a fair amount of damage in return to my Wargs as they retreat from the combat. But that leaves this catapult here wide open, so I'm going to opt not to chase them any farther, because they do have a lot of forces over here. They've got some ballista, and they've got, I think, some archers up there as well. So instead, I'm going to opt to go for his catapult. I'm going to charge right into this unit. We're going to very quickly wipe them out. Look at this. That was a very, very nice charge. Managed to wipe out the entire unit before they're able to really mount any sort of effective resistance against my wargs. And at the same time, I've got my Gundabad Guard coming up, so the Rune player decides there's really nothing left for him here to defend, so he's going to start to fall back. So in this retreat, they've lost a fair amount of units. You can see these Loke Flag Rim on their last legs being surrounded, pushed on all sides, and they lost a good portion of that Brotherhood of the Lance, a very powerful heavy cavalry unit that you don't want to lose. You want to try and keep them around to the end game, and also his catapult as well. It looks like he's trying to come back for another charge into my Gundabad Spearmen. So I see this. I'm going to stick them into in the shield wall formation. I'm going to bring my wargs up on the flank, but they are going to get a nice charge here. But we're going to try and jump into the side of them, and they do deal a lot of damage to this Gundabad Guard. So possibly putting in the shield wall was a bit of a mistake. I don't think we managed to catch too many of his Cataphracts in return. It looks like a couple of them died, maybe 2 or 3. His Brotherhood of the Lance very torn up at this point, but he sees another juicy target. Archangel has now moved into the pass. He's got a lot of forces. I think most of his army is in here, in fact, and he's starting to put some pressure onto the Runic player. Both of his archer companies now. The Runic player doesn't have a whole lot of archers left at this point. His Variag bowmen here heavily reduced alongside these Loknar Rim, and another unit of them was annihilated in the pass. So we're really starting to even out the archer disparity a little bit, but the Rune player going to take a bite out of what looks like the Elder Royal Guard, charging in with what remains of his Cataphracts. Not too many of them at this point. And the Elder Royal Guard are no slouches, like I said. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but they do have two-handed axes, and they are quite effective against cavalry. So this is not an easy fight for the Brotherhood of the Lance. At least not as easy as you would think it is. Speed up just a bit. You can see he's going right for those Elder Royal Guard. An expensive unit. This is a nice charge. Look at this. Going to collapse like the entire corner of that square formation. But they get themselves into combat, and a lot of them are going to start to go down. They are a little bit cut up from the fight with my wargs, taking a little bit of friendly fire at the same time, while trying to fight these Elder Royal Guards. So this unit trying to flee, but they are going to break down to a mere 11 units at this point. Yeah, quite a lot of them died, but they did their job. They managed to disrupt the archer line of Archangel and kill a lot of high-value units. So good job on the part of the Rune player. But at this point, over at the staging point for my army, I'm just trying to draw in all of my forces, because we can see that they have retreated to this very, very nice defensive position up on this hill. So I'm going to need all of my forces. So you can see my Hammer Guard bringing up the rear, who have previously not been used. These guys are fresh and full strength, and whereas the enemy army has been fighting a little bit, so they're a little bit tired and a little bit reduced. So I think we do have an advantage at this point. You can see the balance of power ever so slightly in our favor. Although I think it actually might be in favor of them still at this point. The percentage of allies and enemies killed are pretty well even. Yeah, Archangel really being aggressive. He's starting to move up some of his Sylvan heavy troops here. Oh yeah, you can see this unit has come back from routing. They're going to charge into this into these Hiri Lang. This is a really difficult fight for them, because I think he's going to go for the Hiri Lang in any case. Yeah, he is. This is a very difficult fight for them because they are infantry, so it's tough for these guys to stand up to a cav charge. You can see a lot of them going down. Quite a lot of them falling in battle to those Brotherhood of the Lance. And they're gonna be able to run right through that unit, losing a couple more. But now they're in behind the elves, so Archangel needs to respond here. I think they're gonna try and go for those Sylvan heavy archers, get another charge off. Really good play on the part of the Rune player, doing a lot of damage to the Sylvan elves. But there's just not enough of these guys at this point, and they are gonna get sandwiched by these Elder Royal Guard. So we're gonna try and run them out, run them through, but honestly, this is gonna take him right into the arms of Archangel's reserve force. So these here Lang, I think he's just trying to inflict as many casualties as possible with this unit while he still has it. And it looks like he manages to do so. Only a few of them going down to that charge, and now at this point, there's really nowhere for them to flee to, because they are surrounded, basically in the heart of the Sylvan Elf army. So that's the end of the Brotherhood of the Lance. Really fought well. Really got a lot of benefit out of bringing that unit. So I think I've got most of my troops here. My trolls arriving a little bit late. And I think my Hammer Guard, yeah, latest of all. Bring up the rear, bring up what remains of my Numenorian Shadow Guard. Really want to get all of my forces together before I push forward. But you can see, I think Archangel is being a little bit more aggressive. He's going to start to charge in his swordsmen pretty quickly here. But he wants to deal with, I think, as many of these missile units as possible. Deal a lot of damage to them. Another unit of Variag Bowmen coming in before he begins his assault. They still have a lot of forces left up on this hill in a very strong position. But my army is largely intact as well. I don't think I've lost too much. I have taken a fair amount of casualties in amongst one unit of my Root Hour Berserkers. Some of my my Orc heavy infantry taken a little bit of casualties, but for the large part, they are still really healthy. I've got my Gundabad Guard, both my units of Gundabad Guard and my Guardians of Karn Doom. So I still have my elites intact, and we have done a lot of damage to their forces so far. But I think we're going to fast forward just a little bit here, and I will see you guys in just a moment. So you can see a little bit of action on the top of the hill. Looks like the Mortar player still has some Black Numenorians left. They were hiding up here, being held in reserve, and they're bringing down a lot of their missile troops to try and bombard Archangel's position. His troops are really exposed right here, and they have a really nice firing angle for all of their archers and for this ballista piece. So Archangel is going to have to do something really decisive right now, or he's going to lose a lot of troops simply to arrow fire. But seeing that my ally is in trouble, I am going to start to move out pretty shortly here. I've got most of my troops, just trying to get them all into a formation that I'm happy with before we move out and start assaulting the flank of these Runic and Mordor forces up on the hill. But you can see his heavy swordsman taking a lot of casualties from arrow fire. Look at this, a lot of dead Hiri Lang. So we're going to start to move them forward. This is his first wave. Charging forward with his Hiri Lang. I think he's going for those Numenorian Shadow Guard, but he's got a lot of enemies in his way. These guys still in skirmish formation, so they are going to flee in the face of these Elven troops. I think it would have been a lot better to just kind of let them sit there and soak up the charge while you continue to pepper these Elven units with your Numenorian Shadow Bows. But Archangel, fearless, charging into the ranks of this Variag Bowman. That's a really poor fight for those Variag Bowmen, but honestly, this is just a holding force, so you can see as they continue to pour missiles into those Hiri Lang and try and wipe them out. These ones going for the Numenorian Shadow Guard, trying to wipe them out, but and disrupt this archer fire. But the Rune player throwing his Loknar Rim under the bus in order to buy himself a little bit of time to deal with these Hiri Lang over here by focus fire. We can see more of them moving up. He's taking advantage of the distraction that these guys are providing and moving up some of his archers to try and put down some pressure into the Runic forces up here on this hill. I think he's going to probably go for the Shadow Bows because they're the most apparent threat at the moment, but he may start to focus on this Ballista. Yeah, look at this. You can see this artillery piece. Archangel has decided it's a much bigger threat than these bows. I guess confident in his unit's ability to weather the arrow storm from the Numenorian Shadow Guards. So we're going to try and take down this Ballista, which is in a close formation, but at the same time, Rune player moving up his forces. These Lok Scion Rim, very good infantry. It doesn't look like Archangel has anything prepared in response to these guys. Some of his units still in the pass. Looks like we've got some Palace Guard, the cream of his infantry. Oh, apologies, we had a little bit of a crash there. So yeah, Archangel bringing forward his Hiri Lang. Some more reinforcements pouring into this area. The Elves starting to form a beachhead outside of this pass. Looks like most of these are archers though, and I think they might have managed to break through or scoot around his Hiri Lang. So these Sylvan heavy archers here are going to be engaged in melee combat by some of the best infantry rather that Rune has. Oh, and the fire coming out of that ballista doing a lot of damage to these Royal Guard. Not how you want to lose some very elite units like this. Looks like they are now out of ammunition. I think they're ready to start to take on these Runic forces in hand-to-hand combat. And still, my ally a little bit out of position here, and me definitely falling far behind, running my troops into the battle, trying to reinforce him at this point because it looks like he is going to be overwhelmed in fairly short order. I can see some more of his Hiri Lang that we saw earlier pouring out of that pass, funneling into the combat. Looks like Archangel is content to let his archers sit here in melee and fight these guys, and they are pretty tough melee combatants, so it's maybe not the worst idea. Royal Guard here. But it says that defeat is certain for both these units, but with these here line pouring in to the front, I think that the combat might start to turn a little bit in favor of the Sylvan Elves. But at the same time, bringing on my army, trying to spread them out so that I can occupy these forces who are inevitably going to filter in from the top of this hill to try and cut me off. Trying to get a few of my really tough units there. You can see them in the vanguard into the sides of these, into the sides and rear rather of these runic units, trying to support my ally. If I can get my heavy infantry into here, we might be able to turn the tide really quickly on these Loki Flag Rim and these Loki Scion Rim and start to roll up the runic lines right here. And this is most of, I think, of what Rune has left. Really, he's got a couple units up here. It looks like some more spears and one other unit of Loki Flag Rim. But for the large part, his army has been completely destroyed. It's really going to be down to the Mordor player to try and keep his team in this. So here we go. You can see, oh no, one more unit of these light runic warriors charging forward into my battle lines. The Orc Maulers trying to get a charge into my Gundabad Orcs. Not really the most effective charge, so they are just kind of be pulled into a prolonged melee with some of the best troops that I have to offer. My runic berserkers here are going to make short work of these nomadic warriors. You can already see that they are wavering, not doing so well here for the runic player. These troops are going to start to fall apart pretty shortly. Looks like Variag Bowman getting caught in combat with my Guardians of Karn Doom. My Rudar berserkers moving in to support them. You can see a big charge here going off by my Warg Riders rather into his Uruks, and some of his Sauron's heavy wheel getting caught up in the mix. I've got some Witchfell Hammer Guard that I'm going to throw into the fray here to try and consolidate this front. But I should be pulling my Warg Riders out here. It's time for that to happen. Got to get them out and get them moving so we continue to whittle down these Mordor troops, because there are quite a lot of them left at this point. So the battle far from in our favor. Look at this. You can see some Loki Flag Rim overlapping my lines, but I think they're going to try and scoot right by and get into the back of my General's Bodyguard unit. Another unit of Gundabad Guard. And this is still going to be a pretty tough fight, I think. This Loki Flag Rim looks like a little bit out of position for that charge, not really able to make it too effective, and these Gundabad Guard, I think, are going to start to push them back. Over here, got my Warg Riders pulled out. I think Mordor has some cavalry lurking around here somewhere, and I saw them earlier, so I'm kind of just waiting a little bit with my cavalry, who is extremely depleted at this point. Yeah, it looks like we can see in the back here, I think this is where the Mordor cavalry is hiding. They're going to start to bring their cav around the back of this hill. Oh, I might not notice it. It looks like I'm bringing my orcs back into the fray, into the side and flank of these Sauron's Will. We're going to try and crush this line. He's still got some Uruk Halberds in reserve. Honestly, now would be a good time for him to commit them to overrunning this flank, because my Witch Realm Hammer Guard are really giving it to these Sauron's Will and to these Orc Maulers. That's not a fight that they can win straight up. And at the same time, I'm launching cavalry attacks into the side and rear of that unit, trying to break them up so that we can free up some of our forces. A lot of these... Yeah, some of my Marauders there backing up my Witch Guard. We're really starting to put the squeeze on his forces, so he's going to have to do something with these Uruk Halberds, I think, if he wants to really make a difference. Oh, look at this. You can see the Mordor Cavalry over here charging into the massed ranks of these Sylvan Archers. Got some Royal Guard and some Elder Palace Guard along with some Sylvan Heavy Swordsmen, another unit of them. Into the Shield Guard, weren't really too effective on that first charge. Looks like they kind of walked into the lines, and now they're really strung out. I think he's got a couple units here, though. The Mordor player has a lot of cavalry, and the Melkor's Chosen still lurking around somewhere. Yeah, I'm not too sure where they are. Yeah, there they are. Oh no, my general goes down in battle to the Loki Flag Ram. Looks like they managed to isolate him. So things still looking pretty grim for us at this point. Not necessarily in our favor. You can see the my Orc Marauders backed up by my Trolls trying to push back the Olokai, who have now been committed to the battle. In the back, you can see what remains of my Númenóreans trying to shoot these guys with fire arrows. We really want to break their morale. If we can get this formation here to run away, then we're going to be able to run quickly into these archers and start to envelop these lines and surround these Loki Scion Rim, who are just getting... They're really taking it right now from these Sindar Blade Masters. It says defeat is a possibility, but honestly, Sindar Blade Masters are so strong, and this fight seems really about even to me. What we got over here? Looks like we have a little bit of routing. Some of the Orc Maulers from the Mordor player running away right now. Over here, we've got some Orc Marauders backing up the rest of our Hammer Guard, trying to take these Uruk Halberds on in a frontal assault. Looks like the Rune player, I believe, that would be his general going down. Oh no, my Ballista in the back doing a little bit of a friendly fire to my units, taking down some of my Hammer Guard. Bit of a misstep on my part. But you can see archer fire still going off into the sides of these troops. I got what remains of my warg riders charging into the backs of these Sauron's Will. There's really no cavalry on this flank to stop them. Their cavalry is engaged over here, and it looks like a lot of them went down to arrow fire, not able to be really effective with those mounted Numenorians. One of these units completely shattered down to just simply 2 horsemen. Looks like the Sylvan Elves have managed to really effectively deal with the menace posed by their cavalry, but I think there is still, and yes, here they are, there still is the Melkor's Chosen. Yeah, this 3rd unit of cavalry, this is going to be tough because these guys have a lot of hit points and a really devastating charge, and they are, I believe, also armor-piercing in addition to that. So the Sylvan Elves over here might not fare so well against the charge from these Melkor Chosen as they did against that Shadow Guard, who it seems like they managed to catch out of position. Over here, the Runic and Mordor lines really having difficulties. I think their archers now almost out of ammunition. The Sylvan Elf player, Archangel, managed to get his troops into battle against these Numenorian Shadow Guard. And over here, this unit definitely surrounded. You got my troops down here on the lower half of this hill. And a full health unit, look at this, a full health unit of Hiri Lang, who are in a good position to attack these guys. Looks like Archangel might have lost a little bit of micro in these troops. So I'm not too sure what he's going to do here. I think he could either throw his Palace Guard into the backs of these Sauron's Will, and yeah, it looks like that's what he's going to do. He's going to attack these archers up here with his Hiri Lang, silence them, and cut them to pieces. And in the meantime, he's going to attack the back. Oh, these are Elder Palace Guard, in fact. He's going to attack the back of these Uruks and these Sauron's Will with his Elder Palace Guard that he has wisely kept in reserve until this point. This is a full-strength unit of Palace Guard. This is going to make a huge difference at this point in the battle, especially now that their trolls have started to go down. This is the only unit that, with support, could be able to overpower the Elder Palace Guard that the Runic and Mordor forces had available to them. And now it is able to kind of run amok here in the back of their lines. And you can see the Mordor forces being squeezed. You've got Orc Marauders right here, Rudauer Berserkers on the right flank, and then on the left they're being pressed hard by the Elder Palace Guard. So at this point, Rune and Mordor really don't have a whole lot of forces left. I've got the Shadow Guard trying to retreat, trying to get away from these Sylvan Heavy Swordsmen, but they have managed to catch up with them, and these guys getting locked into a melee that is really not a situation that they can win in. Especially now, oh goodness. Looks like, oh yeah, we missed the charge from Melkor's Chosen. Tried to look at some of the infantry movement, but I think that took place over here. Yeah, look at this. You can see the Melkor's Chosen charge into battle against these Elder Royal Guard, and they are not to be taken lightly, as even by cavalry. They may be archers, they may be infantry, but those two-headed axes, very strong, very good against cavalry and armor-piercing to top it all off. So the Mordor General went down in battle against his Elder Royal Guard, and that's going to be, I think, enough to break this formation over here. So you can see the Mordor troops, what remains of them, running for their lives, fleeing over the top of this hill, and that's pretty much going to be the end of the engagement for these Runic and Mordor forces. Yeah, all they have left at this point is the Numenorian Shadow Guard, who are slowly being chopped down. Oh my goodness, look at this guy freaking out. A little bit of a glitch here, and he was planted into the ground like a grim totem by this victorious Sylvan swordsman. And they're just hacking down these Numenorians left and right. They almost seem kind of frozen. It looks like we have an admit defeat up there from one of the players, and I think this is going to be the end of the battle right here for the Mordor and Rune player. So great game to them. They really kept us on our guard. They had a lot of surprises as well. I did not know they had Shadow Guard until very late in the battle. They kept their Melkor's Chosen in reserve, trying to run down some of his archers, but I think they just picked the wrong fight there with that Elder Royal Guard, and ended up getting cut down. You can see it. I think it's over here. Yeah, right there. These guys not to be trifled with. I think they were also backed up by some Palace Guard as well, so that's not a fight that those Melkor Chosen could win without cycle charging. So yeah, there it is, and I'll see you guys at the casualty screen. And there we are, our first victory in the tournament. Good game to our opponents, and you'll be seeing the second battle that I believe that is Harad and the Sylvan Elves versus, or Harad and the Dwarves rather, versus Arnor and Gondor. So we're going to take on the Reunited Kingdom in our next replay battle. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye!